Hi, it's Megan. So I'm going to make the second of my homemade skin creams. And this is a balm, an oil-based balm that's got beeswax in it. And then basically any kind of oil you want to use. And I'm not going to do a cute little shot at the beginning where I like show you the cream and everything. I'm just going to do everything on camera here. And this is a super simple recipe. So it's so easy, there's no point in like making this a long video, so I'm just going to show you really quickly. This is an oil-based balm, and so this is great for night times if you want to skip your face oil, or if you've got really dry skin, chapped skin anywhere. This is actually, of the things that I make, probably, this is everyone's favorite. It's really good for feet, for elbows, really good for all of any dry skin, flaking, hands, all of that, and it's got a really great texture. The one I'm going to make today has rose in it, but you can make this totally just plain without any essential oils or anything like that, nothing fancy, or you can just kind of jazz it up. I've soaked oils and herbs for 2 weeks before. I've used fancy oils. I've done all kinds of things. So for this one, the simple recipe is, and I've doubled the recipe, so it's a cup of oil. I'm using almond oil because almond oil works for all different skin types. It absorbs really easily. Well, not all, it doesn't work for everyone's skin. A few people are irritated, but it works for all skin types. It absorbs really easily into most people's skin, usually non-irritating. So 1 cup of oil, I'm using almond oil, and my almond oil is over here. It's been seeping in rose petals for about 2 weeks. And to get that to work, you basically pick rose petals, you wash them, and then you let them dry overnight, getting a little bit more of the moisture out of it, and then you soak them in oil, and then you use just a really simple strainer like this. Mine's all bent. Simple strainer like this, and then you just strain it out. So we'll put the almond oil in. I already have in here beeswax, and so it's a 1/2 cup of beeswax and a 1/2 cup of coconut oil. And you can see it's kind of roughly a 1/2 cup, and I also, at this point, I could actually use my fingers to take that out. I'm going to use a spoon. But one of the important things to remember when you're making any kind of face cream is that you want to never get water into it unless you're using some kind of a preservative, because water is what causes it to rot and get bacteria and all that other stuff. So right now I've just put it in. I'm going to put it in a fairly low heat. You can do this on a double broiler, or you can just cook it over the stove. So we've got 3 ingredients. We've got a 1/2 cup of coconut oil, 1/2 cup of beeswax, and a cup of oil. We're just going to melt this down, and it won't take very long. We're going to melt it down not to a boiling point, just to the point where it's not boiling. I mean, where it's not solid anymore, so you can see the solid bits. And then at that point, we're going to put it in a blender, and I will show you what to do with it there. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to let it cool. So we're going to put it in the blender, beat it up just a little bit. We're going to let it cool, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to beat it up a couple more times. And I usually beat it between 5 and 10 times, depending. There are some people who say the less you beat these creams, the better. I prefer to put a little bit more oil into them. I mean, a little bit of air into them. So I actually like to beat them a few more times. And I also like to watch as the consistency changes and it gets a little bit more solid. I like to continue putting a little bit more air. So as you think of like a boiled frosting, where you beat it, you let it sit 10 or 15 minutes, you beat it again. I do kind of the same thing, except since this is so oil-based, it can take a good 2 to 3 hours before it really cools down. So I will just keep coming back and beating it. And then at the very end, when it's getting super cool, that's when I'm going to put in my little bit of essential oils. So I'm going to have the rose right here that's been seeping, and then I'm going to put in rose essential oil, and I'm going to put in a little bit of sandalwood just to make it fun, just to add something different. So anyway, I'm going to turn this camera off for now, and when this is all boiled, I will show you what it looks like. Okay, now we're going to do the next step. We're going to put it in the blender. Now, I had done a big no-no. I had put it in a stainless steel pan. Luckily, I noticed right before I actually got much heat in there, and so I switched it to a non-reactive pan. It's kind of a Cephalon, Kevlar, whatever it's called, non-stick pan. And so right now you can see everything is completely melted, but not boiling. We're going to pour it into the blender. And I'm going to put a link in the description to this video to the other video where I did a vegan face cream, which is a little bit more of a complicated cream, not much more. And then I'm also going to put the actual recipe for this cream in that too, just in case you didn't write it down. So now I'm just going to mix it. Off so that this video doesn't go too long, but I'm going to mix it for about another 1 or 2 minutes, and what I'm trying to do now is put some air into it, and you can see it's starting to change color a little bit. This is going to change slightly. It's not going to change a lot. The vegan cream I did turned white immediately at this point when you put the water in, but this is going to stay kind of that beeswax color. So I'm going to beat this for another 2 minutes, and then in about 15-20 minutes I'm going to come back and beat it again. And I've got on the side now a little paper towel with a spoon resting. At this point, to keep everything sanitary, nothing water-based, my fingers, my oils from my skin, whatever is going to go into that pot. I'm going to keep it very, very, very clean. And then at the very end, I'm going to put a little bit of vitamin E so that it will last a little bit longer. Without the vitamin E, it should last a good 6 months. But with the vitamin E, it'll last longer. And always with anything you make by yourself that doesn't have a lot of fake preservatives, just be careful to kind of keep it somewhat clean. You can also store it in the refrigerator for longer life. So we're going to wait 15-20 minutes, put the camera back on, I'll show you what it looks like then. Thanks. Hi, I waited about 10 minutes. You can see this is starting to solidify on the side of the blender, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm actually going to beat it again. So at the beginning, when it's warm and starting to do this a lot, you might want to beat it a little bit more often. I also wanted to make a quick comment about beeswax. Beeswax is a very, very, very tricky ingredient. I had it in a block, and I shaved it down to get the right amount, but it's much easier to use the pastels. And I would recommend those because it's a really very hard, dense ingredient, and so cutting it can be very difficult, and measuring it can be very difficult as well. Cleaning beeswax is a nightmare. So what I have to do with everything that has beeswax, especially one that has a lot of beeswax like this, is I need to scrub it in warm water first with soap and a scrubbing, whatever you use, SOS pad. Then I have to wipe it down with paper towels. Then I have to put it in the dishwasher. And I have to do a lot of that with my hands. I've got to scrub them very clean, then I've got to wipe them with a paper towel and then clean them off again with soap. So anyway, we're going to beat this again. I'm going to actually turn the camera off part way, but I'm going to beat it for about a minute. And I'm using mix and puree on my 5-speed blender. So I don't know if you can see, but this is starting to solidify again on the outer edges. So we're going to beat it up again, and I've now started moving to liquefy. And again, some people like to keep this with less air in the cream or balm, as this is a balm. I prefer to put a little bit more in. And then also when I'm holding down the lid, that's just because sometimes this is spewed out, and so I actually still have bits of cream sometimes on my cabinets, which I have to clean off, but then we get to that beeswax thing. So here we go. I'm going to beat this between a minute and 2 minutes. You can see it's starting to harden a little bit. It's starting to change texture. I'm also going to wipe down the side of it. In fact, let's just show you. So you can see it's starting to solidify, but I'm going to wipe down the side, and I'm going to beat it for about a minute to 2 minutes. And then I'll turn it back on again in a couple minutes so you can see it again. After beating it and wiping it down and beating it a little bit more, I just wanted to show you the texture. So on the side, it's starting to solidify like this, but here it's still melted. So we're going to wait another 20 minutes or so, and then I'm going to beat it one more time. Oh, my hand's in the way. So it's liquid like that, and then you can see it's solidifying and turning into a balm. We're going to wait another 15 minutes or so and then beat it one more time. So I ended up only waiting about 10 minutes because if you can see how quickly it's solidifying, I'm going to beat it twice more, and I'm going to beat it about a minute each time, and then I'm going to clean off the spoon and beat all that in there. But this this will be ready pretty quickly. So I'm gonna do, starting at mix and then liquefy, and like I said, I'm gonna beat it for about 1 to 2 minutes, twice more, and I'll show you what it looks like before I beat it the last time and at the end. Just a second, I'm gonna start it, then turn off the camera because this gets loud. All right, we're coming to the end here. So this will probably be the last time I beat it. I beat it one other time where I didn't put it on camera just because it does get a little old watching the blender over and over again. But as you can see, it's starting to solidify into a real cream. And I'm gonna wipe some off on my hand to show you. Then I'm gonna beat in the vitamin E oil and the essential oils. So again, once I touch this, this will never touch the cream again. So this is what it looks like. It's still a little bit warm. It's harder here where you can see just kind of a thicker balm. And so this is going to be the final product. So I'm just gonna, one more time, show you what I'm doing, and this blending will be the last one that you see. This will be the end of the video. So please subscribe on YouTube, and also I would love to hear comments or suggestions or thoughts on how to do these videos, because I'm just starting to do these do your own skincare cream product things on YouTube, and the feedback is really helpful for me because I need to know. One other tip before I get off and done with this video is the first time I made this balm, I actually put it in the refrigerator to cool down faster at the beginning, and that caused these little like bubble globule things in them. So you want it to cool down naturally, even though it takes longer. So these are the essential oils, and I'm just gonna put a few drops of rose, and I decided to put a little sandalwood. You can see just a little. I'm gonna put probably 8 drops, and just like 2 of the sandalwood, just to add a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of a zing. And then I'm gonna add some vitamin E, and then I'll beat it, and this will be the last one. And that's it. So thanks for watching.